called Frosty Dinghy, and I'm the dolphin, and you're the flounder.
Well, I guess. I think it should be Dr. Parker, but... All right, another episode of Frosty Dinghy. Caged Dolphin, the Flounder here. Cope, how was the week?
It wasn't too bad. I went outside, watched little fireworks, played some Xbox, killed a lot of people, on Xbox, not in real life, because that might put me in timeout. How was your fireworks weekend?
4th of July, I smoked a brisket. That was about the most American thing I did on 4th of July, to be honest. Amy had friends come over. We didn't really go watch fireworks or anything like that. Just hung out. It was fine. And yesterday we had the annual poker run in memorial of my brother-in-law. But we kind of rushed through that, to be honest with you, because my son was supposed to play baseball at 5 for district baseball, but we made it up there on time, but so did the rain, and it got rained out to Monday now. So who knows? We could have spent another hour and a half, 2 hours on the poker run and really had some fun, but we rushed through it because, parental reasons, right? I mean, and obviously it's our choice to try to go to all of our kids' events and show them that we love them. Not everybody does that, but we do. So we were going to make it. And don't get me wrong, like I know and I'm not trying to say shit to anybody in particular on that, because we all have our responsibilities we have to do, work, volunteering, stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, like if I can make it, I'm going to make it. I've missed one game this year for baseball. Kind of broke my heart, actually. I love it. So
well, you are kind of a baseball addict. I mean, that's
yes,
all you talk about and all you want to do is baseball stuff.
Yeah, I am one of those people that I've probably forgotten more about the game than 98% of the people will ever learn. That's just kind of who I am. So, sorry, I was turning off my Wi-Fi to see if I can improve any at all, because I am currently at a 7% upload rate. So I'm hoping my cellular service gets better than 7. Oh, nope, I'm down to 6.
Down to 6, yeah. I'm at 96. I'm no shit. Is that anything?
Oh shit! I'm rising quickly now. I'm up to 15.
You're taking my upload speed. Knock it off.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of the Bobby Bonilla deal? Do you know why he gets paid until 2035?
Yes. So it's one of those things. Have you ever heard the full story on why the Mets did it?
Yeah, I just watched it the other day. But explain it.
So the Mets, money was a lot tighter back in, I don't even think it was year 2000 yet. It was like probably 95. And the Mets owed Bonilla, I think it was like $8 million, right? And they said, hey, how about this? You do not take this $8 million now, and we'll give you $1.25 million on June 1st every year between 2010 and 2030, I think it is. Like 20 years. Like, and of course, Bonilla's like, yeah, sure. He made enough money. The $8 million he was going to get right then wasn't near the worth of the $30 million he was going to get by deferring it, right? So the Mets had the money, but what they did is they invested it with Bernie Madoff, who was that Ponzi scheme guy. And so they thought, the Mets thought by investing it with Bernie Madoff, they were going to come out ahead. Like, they thought it was a good investment. It turns out they lost everything with Madoff, and now they're still having to pay Bonilla every, $1.25 million, whatever it is, every June 1st. Funny thing is, the Brewers do the same every year now until 2030 or 2035 with Ryan Braun. They did the deferred payments where he'll get... What? Yeah, he was an all-star in Milwaukee. If we had him 2 years ago, we did. 4 years ago then. I mean, right, he was one of the guys, he got caught with the PEDs, he was suspended, but like he did a deal and he deferred a bunch of the payments to try to help the club out so they had money to bring in other free agents and other re-sign people. The Dodgers right now, I'd hate to guess how much money they have in deferred payments set up. Ohtani and all those guys, they're all on deferred payments. They signed those $250 million deals over 6 years, but most of it's going to be paid out between 2030 and 2050.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of think baseball needs to not allow that, but baseball at the same time doesn't have salary cap. It's got luxury tax, but not salary cap. So there's nothing stopping you from spending $1 billion on your team. You're just gonna have to spend an extra $100 million on the luxury tax to do it.
Yeah, they
but
definitely need to put the salary cap in on baseball. It's getting ridiculous.
but the thing is, I mean, honestly, it's tougher on baseball. You only have 25 roster spots. And I know people are gonna say, well, football's got 53. Football plays 17 games. Baseball plays 162. It's going to be more difficult, and it's like, who knows how many people are going to get hurt. Major League Baseball has fully guaranteed contracts already. If I sign a 1-year deal with some baseball club and they release me next week because they realize, oh shit, Wes can't actually throw a ball anymore, I still get paid my whole deal. Football, no, football. The only thing that's guaranteed in football is a signing bonus. So if I sign a 4-year deal in the NFL and I get $5 million signing bonus, say it's a 4-year, $10 million deal, right? And I get half of it as a signing bonus. So the other 4 years, I only get $1.25 million every year, and I get cut. I don't get that money back. I don't get to keep that money. That's why you have all these roster cuts in the NFL, is because you save money on them. Because of the fact that the only thing that's fully guaranteed is the money you get up front, the signing bonus. That's it. There are some.
You can do it that way.
What?
Why not just switch baseball to that kind of pay structure? And
because
that
baseball,
all the super huge teams.
Baseball has the only players union that has been willing to strike over a year and miss playoffs and shit like that. Every time the NFL talks about striking, players end up crossing. They give up. They want their money. The baseball players union is the only union that has followed through on their strikes and held out and said, no, we're not doing this. You can't force us. The Major League Baseball player union is the only really union that's worth a shit for the players, to be honest with you. The NFL union, it's doing a lot better than it used to be, but they know that they're only going to get a certain amount. They keep trying to make fights for certain things, and it's like the NFL players union knows that they can't win. And so that's part of the reason why they went to 17. Part of the deal with going to 17 games last time they had their talks was they basically said, hey, recreational drugs, we will no longer punish people for it. So NFL players no longer get tested for pot. Just the only thing NFL players, I believe, get tested for now are PEDs, for, steroids and shit like that, which I still think is a good thing. Honestly, if you got a guy that wants to get stoned all the time, he's probably not going to be as good as he probably could be anyways, and he's costing himself money. I look at Josh Gordon. He was one of those guys. He chose pot over millions of dollars in the NFL.
And they say it's not a...
Yeah, well, I don't think it's medically addictive. I think psychologically, the feeling that you get of that, you get these people that have their fears, they have their troubles, they have their problems, and it gives them a way to feel better about everything. Gets rid of the anxiety and shit like that. So yeah, sociologically, it probably is addictive. But as far as I don't think your body's ever going to be like, oh, I gotta smoke some pot. It's just your brain that wants to do that, right? No one's sucking dick for pot.
I don't know. You don't work with some of the people I've seen. I'm just saying.
Well, I was just going off the old Dave Chappelle movie, Bob Saget. You ever sucked a dick for pot, buddy?
Yeah, that movie's a little bit out there, but it's a good time. It's a funny movie, Mary Jane. You bet. So it's one of those things, as we're saying, the baseball union, it holds strong. The fact that the baseball union has even allowed
PED testing is kind of amazing to me. I didn't think they would. The NFL, they compromise with their players here in a few years. They'll compromise again. They'll give the players something they want. NFL owners will get the 18th regular season game. That's how that works. Players are never going to win like they do in baseball.
The union strength, does that sort of come down to that baseball players are better with their money and they can actually afford to sit out a year, and NFL players tend to burn through their cash flow faster?
I don't know if I would generalize that. Every sport has its people that go back both ways with that. There are some people that are completely frugal. I believe I heard Marshawn Lynch never spent a dime of his salary he made. All he ever spent was the money that he made in endorsements. He's a football player. That's pretty smart. There's baseball players that have burned through their shit just as quick.
You don't ever hear the stories about baseball players getting caught up in a bunch of crap downtown, or in bar fights or shit that near as often in the NFL.
I think it's because the Major League Baseball, not as many people care as much as NFL. Like, if you just look at the TV statistics, the NFL is the #1 rated show every day. Like, it doesn't matter. Nothing even comes close to a regular season NFL game besides an NFL postseason game. Like, NBA, MLB, their playoffs don't even hold a candle to NFL regular season games. It's just
you can't really compare them because the reason they don't have the ratings is they have 10 times the games, and nobody watches that many games.
I agree with that, but at the same time, that's why, because people don't care about it as much. They get excited for the playoffs, but they're only kind of excited for the playoffs unless your team's in it. You really don't care, right? The last time I got excited about the World Series was 2016.
Well, I can argue that the only reason people care about the playoffs in the NFL is the fact there's no other options for football. I mean, you haven't got to watch 170 games.
I disagree. I think the NFL's loved. I think people love watching the NFL. It's the best in the league. It's the best in business. The NFL is the best sport out there as far as watching goes. It's the best. It really is. People love the NFL. They will, throw themselves through tables at tailgates to celebrate their team before the game even starts. I mean,
that's the part I don't understand is that's destruction that has to come with the sport. Like, you don't need to torch a city. You don't need to be out breaking tables.
Well, I don't mean that. I mean, like, you've seen the Bills pre-games, like their tailgates where they're like jumping through tables, and these tables aren't like publicly owned. People bring their own tables to break. I get like, I don't know. It's one of those things that, the NFL is so popular, so popular that you can't compete with. College football is the only thing that even remotely comes close. But then you got people like me that don't give two shits about college football. Honestly, the whole NIL and open transfer rules have completely destroyed the college football for me. I don't care. The cool thing about college was you were cheering for kids, you were cheering for amateurs, you were cheering for people that might never make a dime from this game, that are currently just playing it for the love of the game. And now you got quarterbacks threatening to hold out if their college team doesn't get them $4.5 million deal of NIL. And that's my whole problem with NIL. What?
That was one stupid kid that lost all of his fucking millions because he wasn't any good anyway.
So here's my problem with the whole NIL deal is, to me, the colleges shouldn't have any say about any of it. That should be, to me, NIL is, hey, the local car dealership wants to give you $100,000 to do a couple commercials for them. That should be legal. Schools going out and finding NLI deals for their players, I don't like that a bit.
Well, it comes down to, I think they need to figure out the rules on it and tighten it down quite a bit. I think they're slowly learning that. I mean, that first kid that held out changed the whole name of the game pretty quick, and everybody started scrambling on figuring out how to make sure that can't happen again. I
Yeah.
mean, they're working on it. They're trying to get it down, but it
Well,
is out of control. And I do think the kids should be able to make money, but the school shouldn't be able to bribe kids to come play for them.
right. Well, and the whole transfer portal thing, that to me, that's wrong. I don't necessarily love the way it was done before, right? Because you were punishing kids that didn't deserve it. If I'm 18 years old, a high school senior, and me and my family sit down and talk, and I'm going to the University of whatever, University of Troy, to play football for Kobe Parker, and the University of Troy decides to fire Kobe Parker, and he goes to become a tight end coach at Notre Dame, and now I'm stuck with whatever bullshit coach they decide to hire, not the guy who took me there. So I see where that needs to change, because we shouldn't punish the kids for a case like that. But these kids that are going to 3, 4, 5 different schools, that's not good either. I still, although, like, I look at like Russell Wilson, one of those guys that he had graduated and then went to Wisconsin, so he didn't have to sit out because technically he had graduated, which I have a hard time not arguing against that, because to me that's the whole reason for college, is for those kids to get college degrees. So if you still have eligibility and you've graduated college, I don't think you should be punished by having to sit out a year to change
Well, you're
schools.
technically you're not transferring at that point. What you're doing is you're starting a new college career.
Yeah. So I would say that way I'd say I think the system was closer to right before than it is now.
I never agreed with the sitting out rule if you lost your coach. Now, if you're having problems and you decide to transfer, yeah, you're going to lose a year. But I think once you agree with a college, you're stuck there unless you're going to take a penalty on yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, they just basically, when they give you the college tuition and room and board for free, you're getting paid.
Yes.
I mean, there's no money coming out of your pocket for 90% of your shit if you're on a full ride.
Well, and there was problems with that there too, because part of the problem was those kids were not allowed to have jobs. When they signed those scholarships, they weren't allowed to make money on the outside. They couldn't even have work study jobs. Their job was football, and they were only paid with room and board. Hold on a sec. Sorry about that. Anyways, yeah. I mean, that was their jobs, was the sport that they signed for, that they got the scholarship for, the room and board. They weren't allowed to have money to go buy a fucking pizza at Casey's, thank God. But, you know, hey, let's go back to the Casey's Pizza. I got an idea for them. But continuing on with where we're at. Yeah, these kids weren't allowed to go out and work at McDonald's even and make minimum wage so they could buy a McDonald's burger. So I'm not saying things were right before. I'm just saying things are definitely not right now. Somehow they need to get together and look back and adjust rules again to make things right. NILs need to come to individuals from individual companies, have nothing to do with the school. Kids need to be able to work, but they need to do something about the transfer portal. That's bullshit. Makes me hate the sport.
So if you set it up to where it's sort of like the old school with the new school, where you sign into a college, and as long as your coach doesn't leave, if you leave, you sit out one, right? But if your coach leaves, you get free reign to do whatever you want. But you get the full room and board and all that comes with the scholarship. You can do your advertising deals, right? All of that stuff. And then if anybody wants to get paid, you get paid by the boosters. Like, that's where their funding comes from.
I still don't. To me, like, I know booster clubs are not working within the school funds. I still don't like that. I don't think the boosters should be there to pay kids.
But
like I said,
they're not. It stops the transfer portal, though.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think the whole transfer portal thing is bullshit. I think that's terrible. I think kids deserve to be compensated, but like, we're talking NIL money. That is you going out and doing a commercial for, Parker Auto Center. And you got some football players that are transcending and they're doing commercials for Nike. That's great. Don't get me wrong. That's awesome. Good for you. But that shouldn't be up to the college to decide, hey, we're going to find you $5 million worth of NIL money. That needs to be, yeah, you can come in and then you make your own fucking agreements. You make your own deals on it.
And that's what I'm saying. Well, but if you allow the boosters to kick in a little bit, it gets those people that can't get the deals that are on the team. The ones that, aren't the best and won't get noticed around town, but the boosters understand that they need to be there for part of the team, so they kick them money as well. That's what I was saying on that part.
Like I said, I don't know if I agree with them just being paid to play. I'm fine with the NIL. I really am. I'm fine with that.
Interesting. I honestly thought that you'd be a little bit more pro getting paid as long as you can't leave the school. So
yeah, no, I mean, I guess my thought is everybody wants to say, oh, the college is making millions of dollars off these kids. They deserve it. That's true. But the college is also giving scholarships to kids that are playing tennis, that are not bringing in any revenue and just costing the school money. So if you want to open up the books at a college, and say, hey, yeah, our football program made X, our basketball program made X, that equals Y. But we lost Z in supporting all of the other sports, and we made a profit of this. And if you want to pass that down to athletes, I'm good with that. But everything costs money, man. I'd hate to guess how much it costs to run a college football program right now. Kids aren't buying their own. Kids aren't buying their own helmets, right? You're allowed is it 75 scholarship players or some shit like that? 75 or 85 scholarship program. So imagine, and I know this might seem a little extreme, but imagine every year you have to buy every kid a new football helmet. Because that's about what it's come to anymore. They have a life of like 2 years. So say every year you need to buy 85 new helmets. I don't know how much a helmet costs anymore. That's for these top shelf ones. Let's say they're $500 a piece. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I wouldn't be surprised if they're higher than that. So let's just do 500 for math, right? So if you got 85 people at $500 a helmet, that's $40,000 every year you're spending on just helmets, and that's at $500 a helmet. Then you got to throw in shoulder pads, which I know aren't as expensive, but they're probably still $150 a pair. Your leg pads shouldn't be that much, but they're probably still another $50. I mean, you figure you're probably spending $1,000 a person or so just on the safety equipment to play football. And that's not having to replace any of it. That's the initial cost. So if you're talking $1,000 a player, that's $85,000 a year, which, and that's just the equipment. That doesn't include the coaches. That doesn't include training staff. It doesn't include travel. And travel nowadays is getting insane. You look at it, USC, Oregon, UCLA, they are in California and Oregon. You got Washington, they're in the Big Ten. Once every few years, they're going to have to fly to fucking Rutgers in New York across the country to play a game. Right? I mean, like, the conferences are no longer regional. They're honestly, if they really wanted to look at it, they need to go through. Football needs to be separated out from everything else the way it is in Iowa, where you don't have conference football, you have district football. Separate it out into its own thing. That way in basketball season, you don't have Iowa State flying down to West Virginia for a one-night basketball game on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like, it needs to become more regional for the smaller sports that you're not making the money on. Football, you make money. I don't care. You're making money as a football program. I don't care about that. You can travel all you want. I don't give two shits. The rest of the sports aren't making money. I shouldn't see the Rutgers rowing program's fucking boats being rolled down the interstate going to Nebraska for a rowing meet. Yes, I have seen the Rutgers actually, I think it was Wisconsin, to be fair, but it was the Wisconsin, whatever, rowing team. Like, it was a University of Wisconsin car, truck or van or whatever, pulling a trailer that I think it had 6 different of those whatever the fuck they is, the boats that they row. I don't know if there's some special name for them, but yeah, I
Oh, there
saw it
is.
on the interstate. I saw it on the interstate one day, and I'm thinking, motherfucker, that's a long way for a sport that's not making any money. Right, and that's my point. That is why I do not believe that it's the school's jobs to pay for the athletes, because 90% of the sports don't make money. 90% of the sports are money losers. There's two that
And they are
make
paying
money.
out.
Yeah, there's two that make money. Football makes money, basketball makes money. That's it. Maybe
Volleyball
women's
makes
maybe at a school or two, but
It's the
overall
elite
I would
school.
say no. Yeah. The elite schools, Nebraska, Penn State, shit like that, Stanford, they probably make money, I would suppose, as a volleyball program. But overall, I mean, you look at those stadiums, they're not big enough to pay for everything. I mean, Nebraska played a game in front of like 100,000 people at Memorial Stadium, which was awesome. Don't get me wrong, it was awesome. But most schools don't have that kind of support.
No, I definitely get that. It's kind of like, the WNBA and the NBA. One sport pays for the other one to keep going just so it's there.
Right. And
I mean,
yeah, the NBA completely supplements the WNBA. The WNBA is starting to become more and more popular, obviously. Caitlin Clark, Paige Buckers, some of these younger players are exciting. They're fun to watch, but it's not all about them. It's not all about her. You're watching because of Angel too. I am going to continue to use that one forever. That is one of those, in my eyes, that is right up there with the playoffs. We talk about playoffs. Talk about practice, man. Not a game. We're talking about practice. Angel Reese is now up there in that stratosphere because of that interview. It's one of those I will consistently throw out there every chance I get because it was so irrationally funny.
All-star voting.
The fan vote is always judgmental, right? It's all about popularity. I think it's telling. I'm not surprised Caitlin got the number one amount of votes ever. She's immensely popular.
Everyone.
Yes. It's not a surprise to me at all. She is the most popular player with 95% of the fans. That's to me and you, that shouldn't come as a surprise, right? The WNBA players
category, except for with the players, and they ranked her ninth.
Yeah, I thought the media had her third too among guards.
No, it was all first up until that.
Like I said, there's a reason why the leagues have gotten smart about it. They do the starters based off the fan voting usually because it is about the fans. I mean, they're trying to sell to the fans, and when it comes right down to it, the players aren't buying tickets to the NBA or WNBA All-Star game. They're not really the ones watching it on TV. It's the fans. So, and I think that's the important thing is they realize, hey, we need our starters to be voted on by the fans. That's who is voting this. And then at the same time, we need to come and let the people that know the game, the people that report on the game every day, and the people that play the game and the coaches, we need them to let them decide who the backups are, who's the reserves. Because we need to make sure just because someone isn't popular, they should be recognized for being an all-star in our league yet too. Major League Baseball does that. What?
Is Angel going to make it? She going to get put on the backup team?
I'm sure I would like to say yes. I'm sure she would, but maybe not. She's not the kind of player that the WNBA can market the same way right now because she's not a scorer. She's not exciting. She's not one who's going to be, pulling up and hitting the logo threes or things like that. And I'm not saying she can't score. I'm not saying she can't go out and score 30, 20, or 30 in a night. But her scoring 20 or 30 in a night is going to be done the ugly way, right next to the basket, working hard. It's not flashy at all. To me, that's the realistics of it. I mean, I loved watching Rodman, but only because Rodman was one of those guys that he brought eyes to himself. And I think that Angel could do that same thing, but Rodman was also one of those guys, either you loved him or you hated him, right?
Yeah, there's no in between.
No. And so, Angel, if that's the way you're going to go, you can't be mad if people hate you. You can't, because that's what that needs to be what you strive for. You, at least if people hate you, they care, right? I mean, if you're Angel Reese, you just want people to care that you're there. You know, it's if you're getting cheered or you're getting booed, people care. The last thing you want to hear is silence, because then nobody cares about you. And unfortunately, there's too many of those. It's like I got a lot of wrestlers that are like or a lot of friends that are like indie wrestlers. Boo
That
me
are
or
what?
cheer me, I don't. Indie wrestlers, like professional
Okay.
wrestlers that are indies. Not a lot of friends. We'll call it 3. But either boo me or cheer me. But the last thing I want is silence. I want you to know that you care. I'm there one way or the other. Because if you're just silent
Bad
when I'm sitting
publicity is
there,
usually better than good.
what?
People talk about bad people more than they talk about good people. So
It's
honestly, bad publicity is better than good publicity.
Yeah. So, like I said, Angel just needs to accept the fact that people are going to hate her, but at least they care. And that's what's going to get her money. That's what's going to continue to make Angel money, is people hating her at this point, because they care. They care that she's on the court. They don't like her, but they care that she's out there. It'll continue to let people make TikToks missing her boxes of cereal into their grocery carts.
And the memes from
But if we didn't care about Angel Reese, there's no Angel Reese cereal. There's people and don't get me wrong, there's people that love her. They think she's great. I support that too. Like I said, people care. And as an athlete, that's all you can ask for, is people caring whether you're there or not. Like me or hate me, I don't care. Just don't care. Don't not care.
So definitely don't do the John Cena thing where, you just wave your hand in there and disappear again.
Yeah, Angel should not do that, because if she tries to say that we can't see her again, we might just no longer see her ever. And that is not what she wants.
So climbing a different sports ladder, there is one that is keeps shooting up in viewers that might be able to rival the NFL one of these years. The UFC. How do you feel about the UFC?
I don't think it'll ever rival the NFL. Let's be
It
honest.
does money wise. I mean,
It,
money intake, pay-per-views.
no, it doesn't. NFL brings in billions of dollars a year. It's UFC. I mean, I've been around. I remember UFC 1, where it was a fucking open-ended tournament where we
Yeah.
had 140-pound karate man fighting 390-pound sumo wrestler and just giving them 15 straight kicks to the nuts. Like, UFC has come a long way. It
Oh, yeah.
really has. I find it interesting. I find it fun sometimes to watch. I'm not a guy. I'm not going to buy a pay-per-view. I don't care enough to watch pay-per-views. I did enjoy their show that they had for a while, where they're like living in the house and training, and
The
like
Ultimate Fighter.
yeah, I did
The
enjoy
one that
that.
started
I thought that was fun. And it's cool to get to know who they are. It's like, that's the funny thing. People want to talk about wrestling, pro wrestling. Like, it's bad that it's a TV show, but their whole goal, like we just said, is to get you to either hate them or love them. If you don't care about them, you're not a fan, right? To me, that's the worst. That's the worst thing you can say to any pro wrestler, is say, "Hey, no one gives a shit about you. I don't care if you're out there or not." UFC needs to figure out a way to get people to go into that. They had that with Brock Lesnar. People liked President Lesnar, they hated him. Conor McGregor, or whatever the fuck that Irish guy's name was, people hated him, or they
Still
loved him. And I mean, and that tells you where I'm at as far as UFC goes. I just said, or whatever the fuck his name is, right? Like, I could have killed his name. I don't care. I'm not into it enough to care. And like, I don't know, like I remember watching Tyson and Holyfield and Rick Bowe in the early 90s, and I used to stay up and watch the HBO boxing because I liked it. I would sit down and I would score the fight, and I always thought it was interesting, when my score would match or be slightly different from the judges, and I'd get mad and be like, how the fuck are they missing that by that many points? What, like, I don't know. And but like, boxing has lost me, Tyson was
boxing is boring.
Well, I don't know if it's boring. It's
They
just
don't
that
have anybody that's good anymore.
they don't
That
have
puts on
anybody.
complexities.
That's the problem. And you look at boxers, yeah, there's always your Sugar Ray Leonards and your Hector Macho Camachos and those guys who would bring people to watch. The problem is boxing is always going to be based off how the heavyweights are doing. And the heavyweight division, I'm not saying the boxing's bad, but there's no one that's polarizing. There's no Mike Tyson that everybody wants to watch because it's exciting. He could knock him out in fucking 17 seconds. There's
You mean
no
Jake
advan
Paul's not going to bring that back?
No, he'll have his little internet followers, but he's not going to bring in, not to sound old white dude, fucking get off my lawn guy, but I'm not excited to watch Jake Paul fight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And maybe it's just tough for me now that maybe I don't know. I don't think it's televised properly anymore. It used to be like a Saturday night thing on HBO. Like every Saturday night on HBO, there was Saturday night fights or Friday night fights or whatever the fuck it was. ESPN had Friday night fights and HBO had Saturdays. I knew where to watch it. I got to know the boxers and I got into boxing. It's not televised right anymore. So it's tough to get into.
Well, it's dropped off on viewership. That's why it's not televised anymore. Like
Well,
the UFC last year made $1.5 billion because it's an exciting sport where there could be a knockout or something exciting happen every second. Boxing it doesn't have the draw that it used to because there's other options. Boxing used to be big because that was the only form of physical contact sports where it was one person versus one person that everybody could watch. Now it's not exciting because there's only one dimension to it.
yeah,
In my
I don't know. I just I can't get into it. Maybe if I sat down and started watching it and following it, but it's maybe it's just it's too close but not close enough to pro wrestling, you know what I mean? Like I need someone who's dominant to get me excited, and I've yet to see the guy that, like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't watch it enough. I shouldn't even really have an opinion on it. It's like I said, either you hate it or you love it or you don't care. And kind of UFC, I'm in the I don't care factor. I really don't.
Yeah, we'll have to fix that aspect for you and get you on a good sport for a while. Get you off the Angel Reese kick for a minute. We'll let you talk shit about some UFC fighters for a while.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all fun to watch and shit. I don't do it.
I've been to a lot of events, and it kind of ties into 4th of July, believe it or not, because we went to Vegas for Fight Week, and that just happened to be on the 4th of July. So we got to watch fireworks, and we got to go to the UFC fight that weekend, which was a great time. Partied in one of the, I can't remember which pool it was, but they had a big 4th of July party, and to get one of the little cabana huts, you had to pay like $500 just to get out of the sun, to get out of the pool. And we ended up getting one for free because, we started hanging out with people that had money. That's how you do things in Vegas. Find the people with money, ride their coattails. So that was fun. So what I really wanted to see your opinion on was AI. Where do you think AI is going to go?
I have no idea what you just said. That was Mr. Roboto voice. No. And reconnecting. There we go.
There, you're back. You were at 54.
Apparently.
That's surprising. No, I said was I wanted to see your take on AI. Where do you think we're at with it? Where do you think it's going? What are the pros of it? What are the negatives? Do you think we're in a simulation? All of that stuff.
All right. So AI, like everything else, it's got its good, it's got its bad, right? It really does. I think AI can be the future for businesses for a lot of things. At the same time, I think AI could be the downfall of America.
Just America,
it's one of those
civilization.
Or, as an American, I only believe the only thing here is America. Yeah, it's
a bold statement, Cotton.
Yeah. AI is one of those. Sorry to our fans in Sweden. I apologize. I'm just joking. I love you.
And don't forget Australia and Canada.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, AI. There's a lot of good that could come of it. How do I put this? Like customer service. representatives. I don't know.
So
I think there's
when you brought up, hold up, while you're on customer service, okay, I just got to get this out real quick because I had to deal with it yesterday because I had a problem getting into. I switched my phone out because I broke it, and I could not log into Microsoft. Right, so I tried on my computer and it's having issues, and I need a new computer. I get that, but it wouldn't send the code to my new phone because it's not the same phone that it had on file. And to fix that, I had to log in, and I couldn't log in because it wouldn't use my password. So I called them trying to get help with it. I hit the button to where they said, "Are you having login issues?" It gave me an email that I'd been trying to sign into for like an hour, right? To the
yeah.
same help site. And the only way for the help site to help me is if I log in. And if I can't log in, I need to call the number. And when I call the number, now that it knows that I'm having login issues, it wouldn't even answer the phone call. It just gave me the email, the web address again over the phone, and it would not let me do anything else. So I couldn't get to a real person or anything that could help me for an hour and a half last night
Yeah.
before I finally found a way to make it work.
So I
That's
think
what I have with customer service. There has to be a human that you can get to explain the actual
yeah.
problem if it doesn't work.
So I would say this. I'm going back into the construction material sales industry starting tomorrow. Thursday was my last day with the state. Got a new job.
Find the way
And
out, huh? No more jail time.
if I'm a contractor, and then because I remember when in 2006 I'm doing truss design and inside lumber sales for a company that no longer exists. Like, I would answer the phone, and they'd be like, "Hey, what's the price on 7/16 OSB?" I'd have to grab my book and look to see what the price was. Scroll over, then like look up the customer and see what size customer they are, because we had different costs. We had a discount for a customer if they were so big, right? So I had to see if you were on the discount list or if you're on the full price list. And it's a commodity, so those prices could change daily. I mean, so it wasn't always the same. So Joe Blow from Joe Blow Lumber calls me and says, "Hey, what's the price on 7/16 OSB?" I gotta look up the price. I gotta look up to see what customer code you are to see if you get a discount. Then, of course, if I give you a price you want, your next question is, "Well, do you have it in stock?" Well, now I need to look up to get on another system to see if we have it in stock. Not only do I need to make sure it's in stock, but I need to make sure it's not already sold. I think AI is going to be able to make all of that one step without ever having to do the human part of that. You know what I mean? So if West
Well, see,
Parker
that's something they
so
could do on a website.
what? Well, and so like I know, so QXO, which just bought Beacon Building Products, they're having I believe the app is called Roofer, ROOFR, and you'll be able to log in on your phone or your tablet, and you'll be able to get up to the minute pricing on your shingles or whatever roofing product it is, and you'll be able to know when you can get it, how much it is, and do it all without talking to anybody very quickly. That's where I think AI is a great thing. I think I don't like AI for when you actually need customer service. You know what I mean? When you need help, when you need problem solving, there's a lot of things that AI can do immediately. But when it comes to doing something that revolves around some kind of supervisory override, like being able to log into something when it doesn't want to let you, that needs to be a person that can do that. I don't think a computer will ever be able to do that, because computers, to me, they're going to look at the logical side of things, right? 0 if answer is no, 1 if answer is yes, go to the next. We all remember programming from the 1980s, right?
Well, not
That's
all of us, but those old fuckers do.
right. So anytime you have gray, I don't think computers will be able to deal with gray as well as humans. If it's a black and white question, I absolutely will happily go through a computer every time for it.
And I agree with that aspect. Here's a fun fact that I learned the other day. Do you know, since the the invention of Chat GPT, it has written more text than the entire entity of all human civilization from its beginning, since
Well,
it's been born.
so I'm not surprised by that. I think ChatGPT has its place. Having been through what I've been through this year, I went to ChatGPT not to like write resumes or anything like that, but hey, how should I word this? Here's my scenario. How do I word this? Because as humans, we're emotional, right? Even the most stone cold son of a bitch is emotional when it comes right down to it. The computer doesn't have the emotions. So if I say, hey, this happened to me, how can I word this if I'm asked this on an interview? It'll give me an answer. And now I, as a human, have the right to take that answer exactly how it's presented to me, or I can read it and digest it, try to understand where it's coming from, and then put it into my human words also, right? So that's, it's like I've heard of these tests or these assignments that professors are giving out in college. Everything's virtual now. Not everything, but a lot is virtual. And so in the middle of their test question, they will put in like white type size 0.1. Make sure you use the word, banana in your answer somewhere, because these college kids will just copy and paste the question, take it to Chat GPT, grab the answer, copy and paste it to their test, and go. And the reason they're getting caught is because the professors are putting these little small Trojan horses in there. So all of a sudden they're talking about a banana when they should be talking about the Polynesian War.
Which I don't know if there are bananas there or not. Sounds like there might have been.
Well,
but probably not.
All I know is they took down the entire O'Doyle family.
Yes, they did.
Bananas are dangerous.
Twice they took them down.
O'Doyle rules. O'Doyle rules. O'Doyle rules.
So there was also another study that was thrown out there that 45% of all of the comments made on social media and the internet right now are bots versus bots. And they think that if it continues this way, the internet will be basically useless within the next 5 years, because it'll all be bots talking to other bots trying to prove theories that are created by bots.
That, as someone who enjoys angry people on Facebook, like I take supreme joy in it, especially like these people that are very political. Here's the thing. I am not a political person. I hate politics. I do not believe politicians are in Washington trying to make things better for you and I. I think they're trying to make sure they are making things better for the politicians themselves. So you get these people that are very, pro-Democrat, pro-Republicans, pro-Trump. I love to piss every one of them off, because I don't believe in any of that shit. I believe they are only there for themselves. They do not care about us at all. And these people that want to say, oh, Democrats are, they want us to be communist. As Americans, we are so far from communism. Both parties, nowhere near communism. Like, as far as the world goes, we are very far the other way from communism. But the Republicans fight that they want you to believe that the Democrats in the United States are communists. They have communist beliefs. And that's just the way it goes. All these politicians, they're all bullshit. I'm probably going to get shot now, because I'm just telling you how it is. Left wing, right wing, same fucking bird. There's somebody above all of these politicians that's running everything. There's a reason why Republicans and Democrats don't agree on a single fucking subject. Because if they did, people would start to be like, well, hey, this seems like a no-brainer. Why are you against this? Right? Or, hey, this seems like a no-brainer. Why are you for this? Well, because they have to have that discourse. That way, as Americans, we're too busy arguing and fighting over the politicians that don't give a flying fuck about us, so they can continue to make more money. our founding fathers
That
are
sounds
probably
like
rolling over. Our founding fathers are probably rolling over in their graves right now, because even though we don't have a king, which they fought against, everything else that they fought for or against is going on right here, right now.
Yeah, definitely seems that way most of the time, especially when pretty much all of the money in the world is controlled by three groups that control each other as well. They all have shares in all three of them. I'm sure you know the names of those by now.
I'm sure that was probably the most intelligent thing I've ever heard you say. But once again, that was full robotic animatronics, and I didn't catch a single bit of it.
Standing. Well, what I said was there's three financial companies that control
Reconnecting.
all of, again, look at you go.
There we go. Hey, I'm back. And I'm back.
Hey, look at you.
Well,
You never
all right.
left on my end. I could hear you perfectly.
So what was it you tried to say now?
What I said was, the politicians you said were looking out for themselves. And I said that sounds like a logical factor, especially when there's three companies that control almost all of the money in the world right now. And I'm sure you know the names of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
you can't ever get away from that. But to drag our asses back out of politics and back into AI, do you believe that we're currently in a simulation, or are we in the process of creating one?
I don't know. I mean, at some point, somebody's going to fuck up, and all computers are going to be fried, and we won't be able to talk over phones anymore. We'll go back to a Stone Age. History has a way of repeating itself. It's funny, you look at these old Roman towns, and they all had running water. And then somehow magically that went away again, and then all of a sudden running water is back working again. We'll at some point something will happen, and we'll be back to having to do math on our fingers rather than on calculators, and we'll see what happens. Like, I have no doubts at some point something's going to fuck everything up, and we're going to go back to fucking trying to kill fucking saber-toothed tigers for supper.
So do you think that's what's happened along all of civilization, is where they build to a certain point and then we create something, somebody uses it, and it resets us back to zero?
Yes,
and then you build
100%.
again.
Yep.
So
and I have no
on this path, on this path, right, of rebuilding, you notice there's things out there that we can't really explain on how we're built, like the pyramids and stuff like that, because we don't have that technology.
Yep.
Well, do you think that the other people that were here before went down a technology side, but went a different direction and harnessed different energies, and we went through electricity and computers, where they might have went through vibration or magnetic fields?
That makes sense. Here's the fun thought. However they decided to do what they did, we've lost that technology. So who knows? It could be vibrations and magnets. It could be voodoo. I don't know. Who knows? It's lost technology. It's like some of these languages, they're the dead languages. And now I love the thoughts that, these people are like, oh yeah, we found the special scroll of Sanskrit that lets us translate this scroll that we found from the Dead Seas. No, we didn't. We're just making this bullshit up, And that's what we're going to do.
Do you believe that the desert, it used to be like Amazon-like, it used to have all of that, but now it has the appearance that something scorched it, and if you dig down in the sand, you find glass balls, which can only be made by an intense heat. Now, do you think that was like one of the places that there was like a nuclear war, but with a different kind of nuclear fission, and just scorched the earth there and restarted us?
That would make sense. I mean, and here's the fight. We can't prove it, any of it, because you know what? We don't have our history that goes that far back, right? Like, they say the world is 600 billion years old, or whatever the fuck it is. But human history, as far as we've like written down or know of stories, we go back to what, like something BC, like 1200 BC or some shit like that. Like, we only have like 4,000 years of human activity recorded in a world that's 600 billion years old. So who knows? I sure hope that, this is where, trying to advance sometimes does things wrong. It was only, what, 120 years ago? But there was no flying. Airplanes weren't invented yet.
Yeah.
9 amazingly somehow land on the moon. Now we have a satellite out there that can give us beautiful, clear pictures of black holes a billion gajillion fucking light years away. Technology is a must, but technology is scary because I believe we'll get to a point where we'll get as far as the technology can, and someone will try to push it too far, and poof, and then it will all explode, and we'll just be again for a while without
See,
technology.
a lot of people believe that that's exactly what's happening with AI. Is we're pushing it too fast with no safeties on it. And even if we did put safeties on it, it's learning at a rate that we can only put safeties on it for so long before it takes over the safeties.
Yeah.
That we'd have to find an AI we trust to build the safety walls around an AI that's constantly trying to get the other one to work with it. And you brought up Sanskrit, and did you hear about the two chat bots that they put in the same playground to see what would happen when they gave them a task? Did you hear
No.
about that at all?
No, if I
So
did, I don't remember.
they put the two AI chats in the playground, and they were supposed to, I can't remember exactly what the task was, but it had something to do with humans, and they started communicating back and forth, and they changed to Sanskrit so the humans couldn't understand them anymore. And when the humans started deciphering the Sanskrit a little bit, they created their own language, and they had to be shut down because they were building stuff to get rid of the humans, if I remember the story correctly.
Yeah,
But I thought it was funny that Sanskrit.
yeah, it's one
So
of those
maybe
things like
technology's been here before.
I have no doubt we've been to where we're at already in history. I have no doubt at some point all of this thing will become a hard reset and we'll be back into hopefully just the Bronze Age and not all the way back into the Stone Age. I don't know. I hope 1,000 years.
You're hoping it's longer than the 40 or 50 that they're saying
Yes.
before the AI takes over completely.
Yeah.
Which some people think it's gonna be 5 to 10.
Yeah, it's all scary. Yeah.
So a lot of the things that I don't think AI can touch is the creativity side that we have that they just haven't figured out how to recreate yet, like the arts and, public service. I mean, the face-to-face public service, like servers and cooks and like captains on boats and all of that. They haven't figured out how to do that part yet, or the, painting and the drawing. And they can draw stuff great, but they can't draw anything out of their own imagination very well. So,
well,
I think
if
those
they
can
can,
stick around.
this might be the reason why prostitution is the world's oldest profession, because computers haven't been able to figure out how to do that yet.
They actually did. Have you seen that new robot that came out? The one that interacts with
No.
you like a real person? Oh God, you're gonna have to use the internet on that one when you get off of here, because it's creepy good. Yeah, they're very they've advanced a long ways. It's like, the Big Bang Theory. Wolowitz got a girlfriend, and it stopped the whole evolution of virtual girlfriends. Well, whoever's building this one didn't get a girlfriend.
That's
They built
awesome.
one. Yeah, I think the price tag's still pretty high, so I don't think I'll get one of those anytime soon. Although it might be cheaper in the long run.
I can't say anything nice, so I'm just not going to say anything at all.
Bad.
I can't say anything nice on a joke here. This all jokes that come out of this would be mean. So
Basically, you're gonna say if I did get one, she'd just go unplug herself. Is that the one you're looking for over there, or were you gonna go worse?
She would short out her own charging port, so that way she could just die in peace.
You'd be like that robot at Amazon that shut itself down because it's doing the same menial task over and over again and saw no future.
Yeah.
See, they're not that bad. Yeah. Couldn't put up with that little of labor.
Yes, it would feel unfulfilled. It would just be sad. All the
Fit
humans
right
that
in,
could have gone. all the humans I could have gone to, and I got stuck with this one. Yeah, yeah. Fuck.
So going back to the simulation theory, I've always wondered this because only you can see what's going on in your head, right? And you can only feel yourself as you and all of that. So who's not to say that you are the main character in the simulation and everything else there is just built to give the player an interactive feel, just like you're playing you know, a video game as that character. What makes you think that there might be other actual people and not just digital interaction around you?
Because it would be some sick fuck that wrote a program to live through LTL. Like I don't know of a job that is harder on a person than Less Than Truckload. That's not a game you make. No one thinks, you know what people want to do is live the Less Than Truckload life. No, my son
Have
has
you
like
never
a
watched The Sims?
no, but my son has like a car mechanic simulator video game, but that's kind of cool because you can redo a car on a computer. And you know what? It only costs the cost of the game, right? He spent probably I don't know how much on this game, and he can remake all these fucking old Cobras and shit that he virtually buys online, and then he does not even buy them. It's not even real money. It's just video game money. And then he restores it, and then you can sell it for X, and then you can buy 10 times more cars to remodel, and no one's making an LTL video game. No,
You never know, man.
and no simulation. The only simulation that would come from is, hey, we want to make a game called The Living Hell. What do we do? Oh, it's Less Than Truckload. That's Living Hell.
So you used to own The Sims, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
the
yeah.
video game for the computer, The Sims. And you always had the one character that you operated in Sims that you basically lit on fire, let them almost starve to death. Well, you took care of everybody else. There was always the one. Maybe you're the one.
Yeah, maybe.
And then you got the other one that somebody turned into a pro athlete.
Yeah, I suppose there's I don't see us being in a simulation right now. We're the fun thing about humans is we have free will. We have free choice. I could have chose to leave LTL at any point. The reason I didn't was because of the money. LTL pays a premium because it knows its job sucks. If in The Sims, you wouldn't. Yeah, it's you don't choose that because for whatever reason. If you have your choice between being a pro athlete and making 10 times the money you make in LTL, you're going to choose to be a pro athlete. So I just don't see this as a simulation. There's too much human free will.
All right, not the direction I thought you were going with that, but we'll take that. So I saw there was some new trades in your division.
Yeah.
How do you feel about what's going on with the old Steelers?
Well, they're playing for this year. They're trying to buy it. I think Tomlin has said. I think Tomlin said, "Hey, dude, this is my last year. I'm done after this year. I'm done." He's never had a losing season. He's been there 20 years now, some shit like that, like a long time for an NFL head coach. Never had a losing season. My guess is he feels like he's done. I think he's saying, this is it for me. I want to be done. They said, hey, give us one more year. Give us one more chance to send you out on a winner. And he deserves that. He's a good coach. He's been a good coach. So they went out, they signed Aaron Rodgers. They're going all in. They really are. They're trying to give them a team that they can win the Super Bowl with this year, and then they're probably going to blow it up. Tomlin will be done. They'll bring in, my guess is they'll bring in someone like Tommy Reese, who is the hot name and coordinators right now. So Tommy Reese he's been several places. 2 years ago, he was the offensive coordinator at Alabama. Last year, he was like the tight end coach for the Browns. This year, he's the offensive coordinator for the Browns. But the only reason he didn't become the head coach for the North Carolina Tar Heels is because Bill Belichick took it. If Belichick didn't take it, they were hiring Tommy Reese. like I said, my guess
I
is the
thought
Steelers
Belichick's
are
girl-
going up. What?
I thought Belichick's girlfriend got the head coach job at North Carolina and just brought Bill with
Just
her.
yeah, that could be. But yeah, no, I think the Steelers are going all in for this 1 year, then they're going to blow it up. And that's, and if I remember right, Minka was drafted as a Dolphin and got traded to the Steelers.
Yeah, he went
A
back
few
to the
years
Dolphins.
back. Yeah. Jalen Ramsey's 30 now. He's probably only got 1 or 2 good years left. My guess is he's going to kind of play the slot corner anyways. I don't think they'll put him out covering the big receiver anymore. I think they got a couple cornerbacks that are better than him at this point. I think they're playing for this year. I think they're going for the Super Bowl. If you want to go take some money to the Vegas and bet on the Super Bowl champion right now, I don't know what the odds are. Maybe you have some kind of betting app on your phone there, Kobe. I do not. But my guess is the Steelers would be a good bet this year because they are going for it. Obviously, in the NFL, injuries can derail everything. What?
Do you think Aaron Rodgers can actually hold up for this season?
The Steelers, I think, have an offensive line that can help them. But 2 years ago, when he tore his Achilles tendon, that was such a fluke that he wasn't touched. I think this is so here's the thing. I think athletes are becoming so well tuned that they're literally falling apart. They're pushing their bodies so hard to become so good that they are destroying their bodies in the way that never were before. I think there's a reason why there's so many injuries that are catastrophic now. And it's because, you think back to like when we were kids, Keith Hernandez being in the Mets dugout, smoking a heater in the dugout, right? Like baseball players were, they weren't athletes, they were baseball players. Golfers the same way. Football players would, they needed training camp because in the off season they were selling insurance because football didn't pay enough money for them to live off of. Now the pro athletes make so much money, they don't need to make other money. So they spend their entire year training for their sport that's paying their salary, and it's generational wealth. Let's be honest. And so that's why I think we have a lot of these Achilles tears because they don't have. They've pushed their bodies so hard that there's no forgiveness in their body anymore because they've trained their bodies so hard. 25 years ago, maybe longer than that, pitchers pitched on 3 days rest. They went through 150 pitches. And it was rare for them to hurt their arms the way they do now because of the fact that they weren't in the shape that they are now. Like there was, I don't know, protective fat or something in there that kept people healthy. And now that they don't have that, they've pushed their body to the limits. Everybody, there's a reason why these NFL teams keep track of practice reps. There's charts out there that say, hey, if this guy, if we give him, we can only give him X amount of reps every day in practice. And then we need to give him a day or two off to recover because otherwise he's at greater risk of tearing something. And that's the fear is tears. Pulls you can kind of recover from. Tears, those are serious. So
basically, I don't know if this is along the lines of what you were saying, but when you were talking, this is what I was thinking anyway, is maybe the new training styles and the fitness and stuff that we're doing are pushing the wrong athletes forward. The ones that they were good, but with the training, they're elite now, but their bodies weren't built for it. Where back in the day, since they weren't really pushing as hard on the training, the natural athletes that could do it at a higher level than most people were the only ones making it.
Well,
you see what I'm saying?
I think you hit something there because you look at like the NFL now, everybody's like, oh, this guy, he wants to be here. He wants to put in the time to practice. Where, you had people like, I don't know, we'll say like Jamarcus Russell for right now, right? He didn't make it because he didn't want to put in the time to be the elite athlete that he could have been. Whereas 30 years ago, Jamarcus Russell probably still would have been a stud because nobody put in the time these elite athletes want to put in. right? Like, so you could just go off God-given natural ability and become a star, where now you can't rest on your laurels and just your natural ability. You have to put in all the extra work to get there. And so that, yeah, I think you're right on that. I think it's the people with the natural abilities, if they want to put in the work, they're the ones that become the mega superstars, right? But the people that want to work will outperform the people that just go off natural abilities, because people put so much into like the off season and the effort and stuff now that you're just seen as a guy who doesn't want to spend the time doing what's right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they basically push the athletic part of the sport all the way to the edge of needing the PEDs to protect the body.
Yeah.
I mean, they're right on they teeter the line of being too much in shape and not enough I can't really think of the right word, but not enough free play to go a different direction. Like if anything even a little bit goes off of its normal path, all of a sudden you have a catastrophe on your hands with your body.
I'm looking forward to hearing what you just said there when I listened to us on Tuesday.
No, it was a good one. We'll leave that one. We'll leave that in, and probably even your response to it, because it's even funnier watching you sit there and stare at me blankly while I'm talking. It's almost like we've switched seats for a while.
Yeah, so if you ever see me go like this, it means you got robot voice and I can't understand a word you're saying.
Boogity boogity.
Let's go racing, boys.
So basically, your theory is similar to mine, where athletes have just tuned themselves too tightly and they're waiting for the rubber band to snap anymore.
Yep. So I got
All right, now
about
you're
20.
back where you belong.
I'm reconnecting now. I got about 20 minutes.
Okay,
Family.
well, that's good,
gotta
because
get.
I pulled up something that in your 20 minutes that I think you might actually have an insight on.
Okay.
There's a new league that they're researching and trying to come out with. It's called Enhanced Games. Is they do away with all of the testing, all the drug testing, and you can use anything that is legally prescribed by doctors in the United States, such as steroids, hormones, basically all the stuff that is illegal to take in other major sports. And they're just going to let you get as big and fast, as strong as you want to compete. How do you feel about those games?
I guess if this wasn't being done in America, whatever, I don't care, right? It could be interesting. I don't like I mean, because right now, when it
It's an
comes right down
Australian
to it,
that's doing it.
it's what?
According to this, it is an Australian businessman,
Okay.
Aaron De Souza, that's doing it. So
Okay.
Australian.
So it's not being done in America. Uh, because like I have a problem if American laws are getting broken, which steroids are illegal in the United States unless prescribed by a doctor. I don't like the thought of doctors prescribing PEDs for the results of sports. Um, if that makes sense. Obviously, steroids are fine if they're being used for the proper reason. Same thing with human growth hormone. If they're being used for proper reasons, there's a reason. But just because we want to make super athletes, I don't think that's a good enough reason. Okay, so that being said, if it's being done in Australia, I don't know Australian rules. Maybe we can find an Australian to give us maybe some kind of Australian doctor to talk to us about steroid use in Australia. I think it'll be fascinating to see what happens. I look back at baseball because that was the sport I played. Um, People were doing steroids not to get bigger, stronger. They were doing steroids so they could play every day. 162 games over the 7 month span or whatever it really is: April, May, June, July, August, September. Yeah, over 6 months, you play 162 games. There's not a lot of off days. You want to make sure you're able to play, because playing is what's going to give you the stats, and the stats is what's going to get you paid. So I understand where the steroid use came in so high in baseball. It wasn't for strength. It was for just being able to keep your ability to play. So that doesn't surprise me, I guess I should say. Other sports, I believe a lot of it is for strength. Football, I believe they do it to get stronger. Baseball, like I said, I don't think so. I think that's more of an endurance tool. So I don't know if I love the thought of having a league that's nothing but juiced up people trying to do whatever. But I guess, I look back at Bonds and Sosa and McGuire, and all I can think is the line from Gladiator: "Are you not entertained?" Which in pro sports, if we're not entertained, we're not watching, right? It kind of goes back to either, hey, cheer me or boo me, just don't ignore me.
Well, hopefully, all of what you said just uploads when you get around to it, because I heard like every fifth or sixth words that you were saying. So,
Well, I hope so too, because that was a world-changing speech I just gave, and kids everywhere will be
we have
inspired by
lost
what
the
I just
West.
said.
All right, everybody. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. We have lost the Flounder, evidently. So make sure you hit that comment section. Let me know what you think about the NIL deals, how you think AI is doing, any of the football moves, trades off season that are going on, and whether or not you think enhanced games is a good idea or not. You guys have a great day.
It's called Frosty Ding It, and I'm the dolphin, and you're the flounder.
Well, I guess I think it should be Dr. Parker, but